On the people side, we've seen a lot of changes too. MTAS has grown exponentially over that time. We've added a lot of staff. It used to be we would have one public works consultant, we had one fire consultant, one police consultant that covered the whole state. And now we are making an effort to make sure that when appropriate, we've got one for each grand division. So we've had a lot of staff additions, and we've had a lot of staff changes with retirements. The baby boomers are starting to retire, and we're having a lot of turnover in long-term employees.
Is MTAS becoming more proactive on local government matters? You know, MTAS was established, rightly so, to be a research and referral for cities to go to, but MTAS has put us out there on the cutting edge of governmental functions and operations. They are anticipating more than was originally set up to do. They're on the cutting edge of what's going on in local government.
The biggest change was the ability to communicate technologically. When I first came to MTAS, MTAS was just beginning to get computers, and they were very, low-level operating computers at that time. Of course, later on we got up to speed, but not being able to communicate digitally with other people was a real handicap, because at that time cities had no way to email in questions or message questions to us. They had to call us or come see us or write us a letter and we would respond by answering their question over the phone if we could, or if we had to see something in the field, to go out and make a field visit, then follow up with a letter and a report sent by U.S. mail.
You're always looking to make improvements. Some organizations feel very successful if they just keep the wheels moving in the right direction and keep doing what they've always done. I love that MTAS is always looking to change things up. Every year they're interviewing their users to say, hey, what can we do better? What do you need that we don't provide? So sometimes it's me finding out about services that I didn't know of before, or them responding to a need that I have.
Changes in MTAS were also the changes in cities. Again, going back to 1980, you had cities with rotary telephones. You had cities with no computers. You had large cities with just mainframe computers that was mostly financial in nature. So we have come a leap, if you will, from when I first came to know MTAS and what their services were. And MTAS led us being cities, led us into the future.
Well, I mean, the change is just, I don't know, it's changed almost 100%, I would say. When I first started, you had secretaries, there was no internet, it was harder to do legal research. You had to do legal research by looking through these massive indexes and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things I always worried about was whether I'd actually found everything on an issue or not. Right. And I think it's a lot easier to do research now using words and so forth to search.
MTAS evolves right along with the cities, and they keep up to date with the challenges that cities have today compared to what they were, say, 10 years ago, 15, or even 20.
One of the biggest changes, I think, that I witnessed was the increase in diversity among elected officials. Now if you come to a conference of elected officials, you will see lots of women in elected positions, African Americans in elected positions. It is totally changed. So I think that's one of the most positive changes that I've seen.
When I came to Jackson in '74, there was really only one really big international company. And over the years that kept growing, and the rest of the state was doing the same thing. We had enormous international companies bringing jobs to Tennessee that changed the entire demographic. You changed the income levels, you changed the way city government had to approach their areas.
Technology has been the big change in all cities, and we could spend all kinds of time talking about that, from the introduction of the cell phones to laptops and so forth, to now AI is raging throughout the country. But Tennessee cities have become more technologically advanced. They have had to do more service delivery. More and more cities are delivering more services to a more diverse population in the state.
MTAS has jumped in to be a huge help to the cities. They have partnered with the Tennessee Municipal League, with the development districts throughout Tennessee, to provide very strong partnerships and cooperations to do what they can for the cities without so much as overlapping the services, but enhancing the services that we have.
The world we live in now has changed, and it's a right now thing, and social media is so prevalent, and good or bad. I think that's been the biggest change I've noticed is just the social media aspect of that and what people demand of us as elected officials.
It changes the implementation of the Certified Municipal Finance Officer program in 2007. Now it's a state law, but it requires cities to have a CMFO. So that's really been another big positive change for cities, but so many every year, and they just compound over time.
Obviously, all the technology changed while I was here. From the smallest cities not even having email to most of them now having websites. So that was probably, technology has been the biggest change.
Left to right, this is MTAS 1952 through 2007. Victor Hobday, Odell Minor, C.L. Overman, and me. Victor Hobday, while I was director, I would go out to lunch with him once a quarter, twice a year, something. When he was in the nursing home, we'd go visit every now and then, not very often. Once went with the former president of the university, Joe Johnson, who had been in Victor Hobday's Civil Assistance Group in the United States Army Reserves. Dr. Hobday was the colonel, Joe Johnson was one of the sergeants. And we went out there and they had a lovely chat, the two of them, about their previous time working together.
Very recently, we held at least the first one I've participated in, and maybe one in a decade or so, a planning meeting of the two leadership teams out at Montgomery Bell State Park. And it was, what can we do to work better ourselves and work in this relationship that benefits our cities, because they need us now more than they've ever needed us before.
I worked with some people that were outstanding. There was A.C. Locke, who was Public Works consultant. He and Jesse Lee became dear friends over time, and he was one of the best people I ever knew. And Harold Youngmeyer, with whom I'm still in touch on occasion, who had the strongest sense of ethics of anyone I think I have ever known in my life. So there were some really good things. And of course there was Tom Sproul, who hired me. You know, you can't forget that.
I really already talked about the people interactions, and MTAS had a great staff, but we didn't get a chance to interact like we could, except for after hours. So we were really involved in the faculty staff intramural program at University of Tennessee. We had a baseball team, a softball team, a sand volleyball team, we had a basketball team, and we would go, we would participate as a group, and we would drag people out of the staff that didn't feel comfortable out there on the softball field, but we'd talk them into playing out there. We'd have a good time, and then after we'd be finished, we'd go have a couple of beverages and celebrate or lick our wounds, one or the other.
Jim Thomas was the executive director of MTAS when I came, and you know, it was interesting when I moved from the Institute of Ag to the Institute for Public Service. Even though I'd been in the university at that point close to 30 years, it was a big change, and I knew a handful of people in the Institute. I'm not sure that I knew anybody in MTAS at that time, and Jim Thomas early on, we share some common background, and he was very quick, and I appreciate how quick he was to embrace me coming over. And we needed to make some changes at that time in a lot of things, and he was a key advisor as well as supporter, and I very much appreciate that and won't forget that.
I had the luxury of inheriting a good management team. You know, we had Sharon and Pat Hardy and all those, and I give credit to Bob Schwartz and Mike Talent for putting together such a good group that we could work with. And so their customer focus was a reflection of the strategic plan that MTAS developed. It tied ultimately into the IPS and UT strategic plans, but that was a good memory for me, because when I would come into the agency talking about, you know, I was kind of more of a hard-charging former city manager, Sharon would quickly point out, you know, let's focus on this clients. This is not what our clients can do. They don't have these technical capabilities or the equipment, that type of thing. So I appreciated that. I thought that we had a real customer focus, and I enjoyed that. And it came out of that prior work of the previous staff and the planning that we did.
A couple of my favorite memories during my time at MTAS. I think the ones that I would probably look back on things I've enjoyed the most are times when we've collaborated with each other, when we've gotten 4 or 5 or 6 or more of our experts to pitch in together to develop something, to deliver a service. I'm thinking of things like the Elected Officials Academy, which has gone through numerous iterations over the years, but bottom line is we all work together to produce that and deliver it and make sure that it meets what the city's need. And that's probably been my favorite memory, is to do collaborations like that.
My first memory is Sid Hemsley. So I was much younger then, had more hair than I've got now. So you got this figure that is just full of knowledge, and just a guy that you kind of want to just bow down to a little bit. But you know, as a younger mayor, when you talk to someone like that has the little gravelly voice that Sid had, and had the knowledge, and you know, the glasses, the salt and pepper shaped type hair, and it's like talking to your grandpa sometimes. And you know, you don't want to let your grandpa down, and you know that your grandpa is going to give you sound advice, and so you can kind of take it to the bank. That when he told you something, that's the way it was. Same way with Richard Stokes. When Richard told you something in HR, you can take it to the bank, and if you followed their guidelines, then you know you was going to be okay.
As the chairman of the advisory committee for MTAS, I've been very privileged to get to know nearly all of the staff statewide with MTAS. And I can tell you that all of my experiences have been pleasant. I am in deep admiration for all of the staff, the servants who serve our servants. It's all about service, right? The Municipal Technical Advisory Service. Everyone takes that word so seriously. So all of those experiences combined add up to more than just a single occurrence. If I have to put anything at the top of my list, though, it's always at the public entity partners, their dance party, and being able to dance with Armintha. That is the highlight of my MTAS experience.
When I was in the Nashville office, you know, I was fairly young, 35 years old coming in. 30 years old, now that I say that. So I was 30 years old when I came here. So a lot of senior folks, and I don't mean that by age, but by experience, in the Nashville office. One of my favorite persons, Jim Luty. I don't know if anybody was, some people will remember Jim, but Jim was a finance consultant pretty far along in his career here, but he was a fixture. Everybody in any city you went to, and you said you were from MTAS, tell Jim Luty I said hi. That was the normal response you got. So I would just, at the end of the day, sit in Jim's office and he would indulge me, I think. I don't know that he was necessarily always wanting us, but you're almost sitting at the knee of somebody who could kind of really tell you just about anything about any community that you were going to. So whenever I was, again, starting out, part of the thing you got to do is you got to go out and visit all your cities and get to know your city recorders and mayors and all that. Before I went anywhere, I'd stop in and talk to Jim and say, hey, I'm going to Cumberland City, or I'm going to Erin, or whatever the case would be. And he'd say, well, you're going to see so-and-so, here's their issues, and tell them I said hi. And it was just that, as a younger person in this profession, to sit at and just see Jim and the relationships and how he knew these people and what they thought of him, and just made you realize what MTAS was about and how vital they are to some of those communities, and how important the relationships are.
I've been here 25 years, and to just try and pick two favorite memories would be extremely difficult, but it's the people. It's a relationship business, and not only with our customers or clients, the cities, but also with our peers here at MTAS. And I think of some of the really great people that I have worked with and do work with, and that's my favorite part, or favorite memories of MTAS.
Don't stay in the office. Do not stay in the office. That's not where MTAS is. MTAS is in every city hall in all 345 cities in the state of Tennessee.
Advice I would give current or future staff, based on what I've learned in 34 years, would probably be back to the fundamental part of the way we deliver our services, which is our field presence that I talked about earlier. Sometimes it's much easier to just send somebody, especially now with technology supporting us the way it does, to just grab an ordinance off a computer and to send it to somebody and let them tailor it to their own needs. And that's a dangerous mistake. It's much more advantageous for the city to have us get in the car, drive out to your city, interact with you, find out the real problem, find out exactly what you need in that ordinance, and come back and write it and tailor it to your specific needs. So my advice to people would be, don't forget your field presence and make it your primary way of delivering services.
Keep the main thing the main thing. It is so easy, I've found in my time here, to get pulled off on enticing tangents. Maybe there's a shiny grin out there or something. And I always try to ask myself, is this the best thing to spend time on to deliver service to cities? Because in TCA, that's what we're commissioned to do. And if we keep doing that and keep hiring good people, I think MTAS has another good 75-year history.
One of the consultants in the Nashville office, when I was hired, and this guy retired almost 25 years ago, his name was Jim Luty, and his advice to me as a new MTAS employee and field consultant was never pass up an opportunity to use a restroom. But my advice goes back to what I said about it being a relationship business. You have credibility coming in the door to a city because you work for MTAS. So you're standing on the shoulders of those who've come before you, and you have that initial credibility, and it's yours to either build your own personal credibility or to diminish your credibility. And so I'd say it's important to realize that, and to build on that legacy and to develop those relationships and build relationship capital with these folks.
I think y'all have to continue to assist cities. Things are getting more and more complicated, and we rely on you all to get, to be trained and then train us, share your experiences with us. And I think I think cities would be lost, and it would cost them, thousands more dollars if they had to hire consultants, private consultants to do this type of work or get this type of advice. But y'all have such a pool of knowledge in all the major aspects it takes to run a city.
One of the other things that city officials would tell me, and I get this vicariously because I wasn't a consultant, I wasn't going door to door, is that if we would just put it on, I don't even have a copy here, here we go. If we just put our recommendation on MTAS stationery, they could get it adopted. That's a heavy responsibility, but it's a pat on the back. So the trick is, in 75 years, will it still have the same effect? Lord knows we won't be using stationery. But if it comes from the University of Tennessee Municipal Technical Advisory Service, can you get it passed? Can you get it adopted? Quite often you can.
Why would you not take advantage of experts? And from public works to police to fire to finance to legal, it's everything from A to Z. I need to bounce something off of someone outside of my professional network, I'll pick up the phone without hesitation and contact one of our consultants. So ongoing for 75 years, that's what I would say. Just continue that push and make sure folks know about that.
The mission should stay the same. How it is that mission is accomplished will have to change. We have seen technology have an incredible impact on the work that MTAS does. Guess what? It's going to have an even greater impact in the years to come. I can't imagine what technology enhancements we'll have at our disposal. We won't, but somebody will have at their disposal in 75 years. I mean, it's incredible. Look at where we were 25 years ago, and then look where we are today. So focus on the mission. It's the right mission, but know that how you execute the mission and how you successfully execute the mission is going to have to concentrate on technological advances that who knows what we'll see even tomorrow. So, yeah.
I think MTAS, whoever's in charge at the time, needs to go back and remember why was MTAS created, and stay on task doing that vision, and don't get off in the heatherlands doing things that are not important to cities, is what I see.
The commitment that MTAS has had to its mission from the beginning is just critically important. That desire, when Herb Bingham, started saying we need technical assistance for cities and towns, and just to see MTAS stay committed to that mission, I certainly see that for the next however many years, and I think that if we can stay committed to that, then the administration of cities taking care of the stewardship of taxpayer funds will just continue to get better at the local level. And I've always felt that municipal government drives the economy of the state of Tennessee. They make it desirable to locate business in Tennessee, and MTAS helps that. And so improving the operations, making cities more livable and more enjoyable, and it draws people to Tennessee, and we're certainly seeing that right now, and I think MTAS will stay committed to that.
There is a very rich history that goes on in the University of Tennessee and its outreach mission, and the Institute of Public Service, and particularly MTAS, that goes back. I would say that MTAS is of the public sector assistance was the first in 1949, and it kind of was the model. It set the mark. It was the new bar to meet in terms of how a university served its citizenry and its communities. And to my knowledge, it's one of a kind in the nation, and there's nothing like it. And it's a history that we really should be proud of. It's done some great things and even helped give rise and birth to other entities such as CTAS and CIS and LEIC, based on that MTAS model that was so successful. So we're at a good time and an exciting time right now with the 75th anniversary being here. But I think it's also time we need to reflect back, and we don't have any successes in life that we're not standing on someone else's shoulders that came before us. And I think it's a great time to reflect upon those people that we'll never know, but thank them for helping us get to where we are so we are better positioned to deal with Tennessee's future.
A lot of the programs that I've been able to either participate in or observe are really special. And one of the greatest things I love about my job is being able to see directly the ways that we are able to serve and help people better serve in the roles that they have for Tennesseans and the difference that it makes. And I wish everybody could see more than their little part sometimes and see the difference that we're able to make statewide and across all kinds of things. But even just being able to see the difference that MTAS makes across all of the work that we do for cities is just astounding. It's amazing, it's inspiring, and what a difference we're able to make. And I tell people, not many people can get up in the morning and go to their job knowing they can make a positive difference for somebody that day.
I still see our mission being the same, and that's what is included in our statutory mandates is to provide governmental assistance, field consultative services to cities. And now the statute lists specific items, but the last caption phrase is any and all things pertaining to city government. So that's not going to change in the next 75 years. So when we were incorporated in 1949 in state law, we were in the statutes once. Today we are here in the laws 22 times. So I expect that will expand as well. So as the legislature realizes what MTAS can do, it mandates, MTAS can handle that, just like the CMFO program. So I would expect over the next 75 years, we will have more than 22 citations in the Tennessee Code. That's because we're doing great things and providing great services that our cities need, and the state recognizes that.